Hey everybody, it's Hope with Embellish, and I wanted to show you an Embellish Maker software video. In this short video, I'm going to show you how to make a star or a diamond Argyle chenille quilt block. So let's get started. First thing that we're going to do is we are going to view and turn on your grid. The next thing is we're going to use the tools property. So select tools and preferences, come over to grid and click to engage snap to grid. Now come under design and we're going to use this little line tool. Because I selected snap to grid, you zoom in, I can make my own diamond by doing this. Let me zoom out one more. I can snap or click right on the grid mark and it's going to select the points to make a diamond. Now when I'm done, I right click to generate that shape and then I'm going to close the shape by selecting this icon. Let's zoom out. All right, I like this, so I'm going to duplicate it a couple times and I'll take two of these and I'll change them to a different color. And let me fill these in with color in the properties window so that you can see it better for the video. All right, I've got these two and let's just fill this one in as well. And so for this one, I'm going to stretch it so it is bigger than the others. All right, I like this. So let's overlap these two just a little bit, about the same distance. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all three of these and I want to come under my Align tab on the left and I want to center all three. Whoops, wrong one. Let's undo that. I want to a vertical center align. Once I have these where I want them, I'm going to use this little shortcut to group them together. Now, because I want to use this large horizontal and vertical line, I want my diamond to be centered on this mark. So to do that, we're going to select Center to Rulers. Perfect. Let's close this tab out to clean things up. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to disengage the snap to grid. I don't normally work with snap to grid on unless I'm trying to design symmetrical shapes. I'm going to select Tools and Preferences, Grid, deselect Snap to Grid, and then select OK. Now let's form our quilt block. We're going to come under Design, and I'm going to select the rectangle and hold down the Control key to give myself a square. And I'm going to use an 8 by 8 hoop. So I'm going to change that measurement in the properties to 8 by 8. Perfect. And I think I want this to be bigger now that I can see. I'm going to turn the grid off. I don't like to work with a grid. That's just a personal preference. All right, so I'm liking this. Now let's center all of these. And actually, you know what? One of the things that I think I would like to do is make this taller. Yeah, I like that. So let's go ahead and select everything, and we want to align this. Expand the alignment tool, and again we're going to go to at this point we can do center selected objects since the three diamonds are grouped. I'm going to group this. Now here's a trick. To make the quilt block, I want a backup copy of the diamonds and the square. So I'm going to select this shortcut to copy this, and I'm going to color this something different, and I'm just going to kind of get it out of the way there, just in case everything goes wrong or I need to get that same square or those same diamonds. I'm going to have a backup copy, and you can see over here in the properties window I have all of that. Now at this point, this is just artwork. So I'm going to select my original diamonds and square, and I want to combine them together. So let's clean up this workspace and we're going to go to transform. Here's my join icon. I'm going to join these together. In R&K's other programs, this same function is called combine. So I'm going to take these and combine them into a shape. Beautiful. Now I'm going to come over to convert, and I could simply make that a stipple design, and I could change the density if I wanted to on that stipple. So the density is 3. Let's try that at 10, and that's going to space the stipples further apart. But I thought this one was really cool, the gradient fill. And I could do a different gradient fill and a different one. This one looks pretty cool to me. Now that'd be a lot of stitching. So let's try this gradient fill. That looks pretty good. Or you have a motif fill. And in this, let's try this motif fill. And I just like to click buttons and see what happens. And I think what I like the best is this type of a fill. And when I come over here, I can change the density from 4 to 10, and now you can see there's less lines. Now let's try 7. That looks pretty cool. So I am going to create this quilt block in a different color. Now that is actual stitching. If I was going to stitch the block together, I'm going to want to go back now to these original shapes. I'm going to ungroup them, and I want to turn this, into run stitch. So here is my run icon. Perfect. Now this, let's turn this one into chenille. Oh, love it. Now if I want to see what the lines would look like going the opposite direction, you can do that in the properties window. I think I like that better. And then both of these, let's select both of these. Let's turn these into applique, but a blanket stitch. Awesome. Now I'm right clicking on this middle one because I would want to move this to stitch first. Now we'll select these 3. I'll group them back, and I can center these shapes over here. So I'll select both of these, and we'll come back to our alignment tool and we'll center those, and I'll group it, and my last step would be the rectangle. So I may want the rectangle, the square, to stitch at the beginning and the end. There we go. So with this now, you're going to use the slow redraw, and we're going to see that it's going to do my chenille shape first, my applique. So I'm going to stop this right now and say I'd like to change the order. I think that my box should stitch first. So I'm just going to grab it with my mouse and move it till it's in the very first. And then I'm going to want a second one at the end. But I am going to keep these all centered. So now what is going to happen, let's see, and I think that this motif, that this we probably want to stitch before the chenille. There you go. That's looking a little more realistic. So I would stitch my square and then the fill pattern, and then I would lay down my applique pieces and stitch that again, and voila, I am done with a quilt block. So this is how you can easily use Embellish Maker to make a quilt block, to do some applique, to do some chenille. We've showed you again on Snap to Grid in your tools and your preferences. So I hope this helps you make a quilt block using Embellish Maker. And don't forget, when you make something that you're proud of, go to social media and remember that you can post this to your social media page. Until next time, happy embroidering.